We do give thanks to the God of Abraham praise, who reign enthroned above, the ancient of ever-living days, and the God of love. Jehovah the great I am, by earth and Zion confess, and I bow and bless his sacred name, forever bless. Emperor Haile Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Yes, Majesty, my Lord and Empress, Prince and Princess. Give thanks to life above all things. You know, it's the greatest gift that we could find ourselves with at this present moment of time. We give thanks to those people that are out there. The people that are out there that are called Rastafari. Some people say Rastaman. Some people say Ras. Some people see and say, sometimes they see and say, Selassie. We give thanks to Rastafari, man. Rastafari. 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 A people that have been through a lot, eh? A lot. Rastafari. Rastafari people. You know, people say, you're mad, you know? You're praising man for God. They say, you're mad, you know? You're praising man for God. Rastafari. Rastafari. Ras in I. Tafari in I. Rastafari. Rastafari is not a religion. So there's no thing called Rastafarianism. Rastafari don't deal with ism, and Rastafari does not deal with schism. Rastafari is an inborn concept. So therefore, a man might say, when you start Ras, sometimes what he's saying is that when you start to put on your locks, you know, that's a real thing behind it, you know. In bad things, you just start a Rastafari. However, Rastafari, you don't just start a Rastafari. You've been saying Rastafari from you're young. From you're a baby, you've been saying Rastafari. As your mind starts to develop, you start to say Rastafari. However, you don't realize yourself as Rastafari yet, unless you were grown in a house of Rastafari. However, your livity seems to be different than your peers and those who are around you. There's something unique about you growing up. You have this spiritual connection with yourself growing up. You're just different. You were just different growing up. There weren't some things that excite you when you were growing up. Some things you participate in because it was forced upon for those that were supposed to be your guide in this life. Rastafari is an inborn concept. Rastafari is real. You're growing up and you realize that certain things that people say to you, it doesn't sound right. However, you still question it in yourself and you want to come out of this trap. Like it seems as if you're in a bubble. You want to come out because there's something more than what is given unto you. There's something more for you out there. And something more for you, in there. You want to release. You realize Rastafari, to be free, to express yourself, freedom, Rastafari. You want to be your natural self, Rastafari. You don't want to be bondage up, Rastafari. You want to be free, Rastafari. You realize you are Rastafari. However, I used to go to the barber shop and, take a little cut on your semi-fade and, all of these things. And you're going through the phase, Rastafari. However, inside of you, there's this yearning for something else. It's like you have experienced all of these things already, and there seems nothing new to you. However, there's a journey inside of you that you want to continue. However, the voices and that are inside of you from parents and friends and teachers and even foes, you can't be who you really want to be. However, there's something inside of you, Rastafari. There is something that is inside of you that is yearning, that is calling for you. And one day you get an awakening. Because you might be a person that used to read, and you might not be a person that is reading either. Because you probably can't read. However, you're a great listener. Because when you are not able to do something in one, your other senses are advanced. So you have this great memory. You can memorize things fast, even more than the person that reads. However, the time will come when you really begin to read. Because what man has done, man can do. You start to find yourself now as Rastafari. You become Rastafari. You are Rastafari. So the person say, when you become Rastafari, I never know you as Rastafari. I never know you like Rastafari. You like those people? You know, see the Rasta them look. You know, see the Rasta them dress. So what you're going to know? What you're going to do now? You're going to eat grass? You're going to live up in the mountains? You're not going to bathe again? And let's say you're not going to bathe again. These are the things that's how they look on Rastafari. Anyway, they don't really understand Rastafari. Is there a concept of Rastafari, a misconception of Rastafari because of how people talk about Rastafari? The locks upon your head is a symbol of what your mission is. It's like a sign what you stand for. You're a revolutionary. You're a radical. Now the earth is afraid of revolutionaries, afraid of radicals. Still you're a Rastafari there in your heart. You might be Rastafari and you don't even know what you stand for until you start to speak, because probably you look like them, No locks as yet. So when you start to speak now, they look on you different. Mama warriors, Rastafari, liberators, Rastafari, the man with the locks. That's what the locks symbolize, you represent, is what you're representing. Not what people have locks in this time, because many people have locks in this time and it's just fashion. They just go to their salon and they put in some people locks in their hair or some synthetic locks and some wool in their hair, and tomorrow because the rest you see it start to pull out. You understand? Rastafari. That is the outward appearance of Rastafari. In 1930, November 2nd, an individual person was known to the world. Some hear of him, some were following him, growing up, those who had access to the media, to the press. Meanwhile, some not knowing much about him might have heard the name, but still know nothing about him. Well, he was known to the world, Time Magazine and all of these, BBC, Blind BBC, made it known to the world who was Rastafari, Haile Selassie I, even do the coronation with his divine empress, Waizura Menen, Empress Menen. Rastafari was known to the world. Everyone now realize who Rastafari is. A new movement started in the world, in the Western world, especially in Jamaica. Rastafari movements. A people that see that their liberator has come. Rastafari. Many people to this day see the name Rastafari. Some people shorten it and say Rast, some people say Rasta. Some people say Rastaman. I know it's Rastafari. You see, before that name was joined together, Rastafari as one, it was Ras. And if you have a manual typewriter, or a computer, or in this time you have your phone, or if you're writing with your hand, there was a space. So you press the space bar once, or you skip with your fingers, with your pen, once, and you write Tafari. Ras, head, Tafari, one to be feared. Rastaman from time used to say head, Tafari, creator, head creator. When the book Rastafari was published, that was a research that was done by Augier, Rex Nettleford, and there was another person. The name came together as one, Rastafari. That is the name that went out in the earth now as Rastafari. So many rise up saying Rastafari, this is where they spell it. Still reading about Emperor Selassie, you realize how the name was. Just as how you see the name was, Ras, Space Tafari, that's how the name came to the Caribbean. That's how the name was until it was put together as one in that book. It's still Rastafari. However, I'm letting you know. The Rastafari movement strong in Jamaica. The Rastafari movement is the movement that wasn't a maroon. Because the Rastafari movement is not the movement that sell out any leader. We know the whole thing with Paul Bogle. Paul Bogle speak of the Maroons. They give thanks what the Maroons had stood for. Rastafari movement is not the movement that wanted any pass or any settlement or any peace treaty with the people, the colonizers, to remain in the Caribbean. The Rastafari movement only want any peace treaty is for Rastafari people to return to where they're from. So Rastafari people is the people that came with the same spirit of the ancestors who came down upon the slave ships who wanted to go home, to return home. So Rastafari is the same people that you hear speak of Africa for the Africans. The Rastafari people is the people that take up the works of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the words of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and say Africa is for the Africans at home and abroad. The Rastafari people. Just as how Marcus Mosiah Garvey's word was to be silenced, because no leader wanted to hear of Africa for the Africans, especially the colonizers, the colonial masters. So when Rastafari start to speak of these things, and Rastafari become the radical, and Rastafari become the liberator, and Rastafari is the revolutionary, not to take up arms, to rebel, to revolt, not into burning down places, but refusing to participate in your political arena, to participate in your colonial education. Rastafari people. In 1958, the 1st of March, Rastafari leader, the Most Right Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, founder of the Bobo Shanti movement, marched into Parade Kingston with over 3,000 Rastafari people and black people. Following up on the call of Governor Hugh Foot, who was governing Jamaica at that time, 1957, going out November the 9th, he gave Jamaica self-determination. Self-determination only means sovereignty of a nation. That means the people had sovereign rights now. They could choose what they want, whether they want to be Jamaican or they want to return to Africa. Because remember, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights had been passed already. And everyone has the right to a nationality. Everyone has the right to live in a country, including his own, and return to his country. That was the Rastafari government that was formed. Rastafari is on a different page now. Rastafari movement 1961. Delegation to Ethiopia, Liberia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ghana. Rastafari movement is moving through. It's a headlight. What is going on? Still remember the convention seminar 1958, 1st of March, was broken up by police in plain clothes, and those in uniforms and airplanes was used to drive the Rastaman into the mountains. Beaten. Rastaman were beaten. Rastafari women were beaten. Rastafari children were beaten. The Most Right Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, the Good Shepherd, a baton, heavy duty baton, was used to break in his head. They hit him in his head and it was broken in 3 pieces across his chest. Rastafari went through brutality. Rastafari. Who are these Rastafari? The government wants to know. Well, they know who's Rastafari. Rastafari is who is against what they are dealing with. Rastafari don't want to be a part of what they are dealing with. Rastafari people want to go home. Many people see the truth of Rastafari. Some are afraid. 1963, they had the Coral Garden incident where many Rastaman, Rastafari, women and children were beaten. A wicked Prime Minister of Jamaica, the founder of the Jamaica Labour Party, Alexander Bustamante, said that you must shoot and ask question after. A wicked ruler, Bustamante. I know many of you Jamaican people, you love your politics, you know. You don't even like when people speak about your party. Well, your party is a wicked party. So just listen carefully about your wicked leader, Bustamante. Wicked leader. He says to shoot and ask question after. Where you see 2 or 3 Rastafari gather. You know, you must now remember, you know, your biblical books say where 2 or 3 are gathered, reason upon anything pertaining to a right. He's always in the midst. Rastafari. Now, shoot and ask question after. And also another speech he said, if the jail cannot hold them, send them to Bogue. Now, I don't mean Bogue Hill. You know. Many of you in Montego Bay right now looking on Bogue Hill. But many of you know where I'm talking about. Bogue. We're talking about the cemetery. He said to send them to the cemetery. That means to kill them. It's not live. They're going to live in the cemetery and build up houses. You know. You're going to kill them. I say again, a wicked leader. Bustamante. Wicked leader. The cowboy. Bustamante. Wicked leader of the JLP movement. JLP, jail the people. You think it's a Labour Party and work the people them to trash. So, 1963, that was a genocide. What do you mean genocide? Priest? Of course, remember the genocide. Remember the definition of genocide, you know. In 1948, of the United Nations Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. Remember it was defined, you know. It says genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. A. Killing members of the group. B. Causing serious bodily harm or mental harm to members of the group. C. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. You want to tell me that is not genocide act? The Jamaica government with the wicked leader Alexander Bustamante brought upon the people of Rastafari. Huh? Yeah, man. Rastafari was denied from entering the schools. Rastafari, just they discriminate the people in Jamaica, you know, because there are schools that the black children in Jamaica could not go in. You know. It was only for like white children and those that, you know, clear skin that, you know, mixed already with the slave master. The black. I remember when I was going to Cornwall College, you know, and someone said to me, say, you know, one time you was like you couldn't even go to Cornwall, you know. And they started to tell you, as a red man, that's how they call, you know, the brown people in Jamaica, you know, you know, we used to say high color, but we find out it's not high color, you know, that, you know, yeah, brown people. In St. Lucia, they call them shabbing. Yeah. So only those people could go. However, Rastafari couldn't even go to those schools. Give thanks when I was leaving Cornwall College, you know. Youth and youth coming, one of my brethren, you know. Yeah. Remember them little youth there? As Rastafari, the teacher, the art teacher. I don't remember his name fully still. However, Rastafari, you know. Give thanks. However, Rastafari couldn't go to these schools, you know. So people look on Rastafari. Remember 1958, you drive these people into the mountains, you know. 1963, you beat these people. You kill these people's mountains. These people are to live in. They can't come. Now what you think the Rastafari are going to do? You're wearing your top line clothes, your top of the line clothes. You think that Rastafari cannot buy the top of the line clothes? You think Rastafari cannot buy the top of the line shoes? You're looking down on Rastafari. Did you allow Rastafari to come amongst you? No. Rastafari was in the mountain. And Rastafari is an inborn concept. So Rastafari is the man that realized he's the creator. Rastafari is the man that discovered self-reliance in himself. Rastafari is the man of the earth. Rastafari is the man that eat natural. Rastafari in the mountains. Not the dreadlocks in the mountain chanting. As Jonah Reed and Black Uhuru say. Drinking water from the fountain. Yes. So Rastafari, you know, when you see him in town, you probably see him and him come buy him sack of flour and you might see him buy him grains for, you know, Rastafari. Rastafari take these sacks and Rastafari build clothes out of these sacks. The same thing you used to call, you call crocus bag. Remember crocus bag? However, if you should go into a fabric store right now, the same material you call crocus bag that he was laughing at the Rastafari wearing, it's more expensive than many of those materials that you're buying in the store. Rastafari was always in the highest. So you look on Rastafari and Rastafari coming in town and the Rastafari take a old vehicle and Rastafari learn mechanics upon the old vehicle and could fix any one of those old vehicles. And you see Rastafari come in town and say, Rastafari never have nothing good yet. He don't even have nothing good. Remember, you know, Rastafari was not to be allowed in your society. Rastafari was not allowed to go in your schools, even when Rastafari education is higher. His level of education, his level of understanding, his wisdom is infinite, higher than many of your so-called top of the line students. So Rastafari was a people that was scorned. Rastafari would come to the hospital and you deny the Rastafari from getting treatment. You want to trim him. You want to do everything that is bad to the Rastafari. Rastafari is the man that was telling you how to eat, how to drink, the right things. You fight against the Rastafari. Rastafari. 1968-69. Another dreadful act again by the same wicked founder party, the GLP government again. And they burned down the most right honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards Foundation camp, headquartered there at 54B Spanish Town Road. Destroyed the foundation of Rastafari again. Back a wall. The same most right honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, who just registered his Congress with the United Nations. The Jamaica government that does not regard people's life. That's the United Nations. Because Jamaica government is a violating government, they are big violators of human rights. You don't watch them in this time. Don't let them trick you. You understand? They have no respect for the United Nations emblems. And they burn it down, destroy the United Nations emblems. If you should try go out there and you try destroy the American government flag, you'll see the amount of judgment that reach you. Or destroy one of those flags, and you destroy the United Nations banner when you just sign up as a member state. Rastafari people again going through a lot of things. Now, when you rise as Rastafari now, you put on your locks. You might see your parents fighting against you. We have to look deep into these things, because I look deep into these things and realize what really happened. And your mother is scared, Your mother is frightened. You understand? Your mother is scared. Your mother is frightened because the system has made her frightened. It's just like the Willing syndrome when your father was the rebellious one, and they took him in front of the woman and the child and tie one leg on the horse and another leg on the horse, and they light the fire, make the horse run opposite way and rip your father in front of your mother's eyes. And she see what to be rebellious against a slave master. She see what can reach her son. So she bear you for 9 months. And when you come out now, she remember what the government said to kill Rasta. And what they speak against Rastafari, black heart man. Your mother is scared. Your parents are scared. Your grandmother is scared. So it's an understanding again. It's not really say you find yourself. No, you must disrespect them. It's a reason why. No, you have to live to the best of your ability and become what you are to be as Rastafari. If you're a physician, be a great physician. If you are an engineer, be the greatest in Rastafari. No, Rastafari is the man that is talking about reparation. No one don't regard the Rastafari anymore again. They behave like it is them. It is they that we're speaking about reparations. They run before. The same foods that Rastafari was speaking against and the things that Rastafari tell you how to eat and drink, they are now coming forward to the Rast, but they don't give credit. They call it vegan, they call it alkaline, but they refuse to say the food that the Rastafari was speaking of from a long time, the Rastafari ital stew. That's the way. When the Rastafari was telling you, stop drinking out of the plastic bottle and use a calabash. The fight against the Rastafari. No, they are coming to these things and they still do not want to regard the Rastafari. They scorn the Rastafari. They say the Rastafari don't want to use cologne. They say the Rastafari trying to infuse his herbs and build his perfume. No, this day they are telling about the parabens and all of these things in the perfume, and it is causing cancer and all of these things. The Rastafari been teaching a long time, do not eat these things and have your natural body odor and these things and the essential oils. Because Rastafari don't use the perfume things. Rastafari use the natural things. The Rastafari used to tell you about the goodness of marijuana. You beat a lot of Rastafari. You send the Rastafari to prison. And now you take time coming out and you're speaking of the herb. In Jamaica, the amount of Rastafari that go to prison in Jamaica, and Rastafari would die. Up to now, the Jamaica government don't give any compensation for that, any repertory thing for that, you know. And it's many Rastafari that go through that, you know. I know they're living off the legacy of Rastafari. And they want to push the Rastafari back. And they're only telling the Rastafari that he can only plant so and such amount of herbs. Now, when the Rastafari was researching on his herbs, you beat him. And when the Rastafari was trying to create medicine out of herbs, you beat him. And now you want to create medical marijuana. And you do not regard the Rastafari. Some people, they say, no, but I see Rastafari in politics. Rastafari in which politics? In which government? Any government Rastafari have is a government of Rastafari. Governed by Rastafari. Governed with Rastafari principles. Rastafari don't bow to no secular government and try to follow in the tradition of any one of these wicked slave masters who form their party. You're telling me that Rastafari working in bank and you think that you accept now? You see, it's just as Emancipation Proclamation when everyone realized what was going on and everyone was speaking out against the taking out of the Africans out of Africa. As we evolve in time, they come and give emancipation and to make it like you're included. It's the same thing they do with Rastafari. They don't love Rastafari. Many people don't love Rastafari. And when I say that, don't get offended, You who love Rastafari, because you Rastafari. But those people in big society, many of them don't love Rastafari. They want to use Rastafari to climb to the top. I remember growing up, they used to fight against Rastafari as a youth. I remember going to school. And if my friends mock and jeer and talk about Rastafari music, many people in Jamaica never even used to listen to Bob Marley music. I listen to them, People that say that they are in society. They don't regard Rastafari. Then you see they have their Sunsplash and they have their Sunfest. And they put a Rasta man with a mic, red, gold, and green. The tourist board, they're using Rastafari. They don't love the principles of Rastafari. That is why they bow out a lot of Rastafari groups. Remember, it was only one group of Rastafari that never bow, It was the Bobo Shanti, who never bowed to Jamaica government. The Rastafari, the groups, they get their little piece of thing and they try every day to give Rastafari a little piece of crumbs. Rastafari don't deal with crumbs. Rastafari does not deal with crumbs. You have to understand and know yourself and know who is Rastafari. Rastafari stands for the liberation of African people. Africa is at home and abroad. Rastafari is a beautiful people. Rastafari stand in the name of Emperor Haile Selassie, Rastafari. The teachings of Emperor Haile Selassie is embedded in the Rastafari group of people. In Dominica, you have the Dread Act. Same time they were killing Rastafari in Jamaica. Same time in the 70s also there, you had these Dread Acts. I was at a brother's house once in Dominica and there was a police. And the policeman was speaking of things that were reaching his family. And the policeman confessed and said he know why that is reaching his family. It's because when he was young and they were fighting against the Rastafari and killing the Rastafari, he remembered when he went into the mountains and he saw a Rastafari family. I don't have to tell you what he did next. Yes, genocide. He did kill the Rastafari family. He admitted it. So he's looking at now as a karma. In St. Lucia, the Mount Jimmy raid, they poisoned the Rastafari people food while they were the food on the fire. They did a lot of things to Rastafari. They did a lot of things to Rastafari. Rastafari still have love because Rastafari is just love. However, it is right. That is why you talk about internal reparation, you talk about universal reparation. All of these governments owe the Rastafari people. Every one of these governments owe the Rastafari people. In Antigua, in St. Vincent, Caribbean, the brutality when a group of people that want to stand for their freedom and their rights, and all these things come, even after the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, this act of genocide against a group of people. You as even black people amongst yourself, every other nation, every race is fighting against you, you're fighting against your own. So when you see the Rastafari out there, you must respect the Rastafari. As one songwriter, the Honorable Peter Touch said, he's the only man that left upon creation, you know. The Rastafari, true Rastafari, is the man that stands resolute in this time against the hypocrisy of the world and what is going on in the world. I see in Jamaica recently, for the Coral Garden incident, how many years passed, they're giving the people so a plot of land for them to manifest what they have to manifest. As my sister said, it's a mockery. As my sister warned the Rastafari people, say, do not sell out yourself, you know. From 1968-69 up to now, they have not done anything for the most right of King Emmanuel Charles Edward and its foundation. They don't even want to bring up the most right of King Emmanuel Charles Edward's people to address the United Nations. Because the Africans, the Rastafari, always want to pick the people them from out of Jamaica and the Western world. But the politicians, as you know it already, they are always working for their slave masters. The Jamaica government that bow already to the Queen of England and now bowing again to the King of England and always bowing, will not let go their people. And it's not just the Jamaica government, it's a set of bowers in the Caribbean, you know, the rest of countries also. Many of them, they bow to these people. You know, many of them are leaders now, but you don't even realize that the leaders before you already sold out the people. So you might feel offended when we say you bow out the people. But you bow out the people. You continue the same thing. You don't regard the people. You don't regard yourself the time that you are in power. Anyway, we're not going to waste any time on you right now. The Rastafari people is a people that is to be recognized. I say respect the Rastafari, and I say enough love to the Rastafari man and woman out there right now who still stand in the principles of right, who stand resolute to your cause. So Rastafari is not becoming. Rastafari is and was and still is to come. It's an inborn concept. It was birthed inside of you. Rastafari is not style, as Mr. Rodney said. You know, the spear, the burning spear. You know, Rasta business is not a style business, you know. It's not a fashion dread. You know, what does this fashion dread know about His Majesty? You know, growing up, you used to listen to those songs, you know, it shows you still, as a young man, coming and find yourself as Rastafari again, you realize that it's not a fashion dread thing, this. It's not about fashion dread, you know. So Rastafari studies the teachings of Emperor Haile Selassie I. And we see that the teachings of Emperor Haile Selassie I speak about the liberation of African's people. We see that the teachings of Emperor Haile Selassie I is about respecting people's human rights, not fighting against a person's faith, you know, but loving yourself first of all, knowing who you are as a person, as an individual, what is your cause, stand up and speak as free beings. The teachings of Rastafari lead you forward to Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The teachings of Rastafari teach you and lead you to the teaching of the Most High King Emmanuel Charles Edwards. Respect every Rastafari leader that ever come, you know. Bongo Time, Bongo Water, Martimo Planner, Rastafari. Leonard Howell. Respect every Rastafari out there. Even Rastafari musicians that were coming up. I'm not talking about lax musician of today. I'm talking about Rastafari musician at that time. When you used to listen to the Rastafari musician in interview, they speak only about Rastafari Livity. They were not speaking about swags and these things in this time and bragging about on each other. No, that's not what Rastafari is about. Always speaking about Africa, Africans, legalization of marijuana, things that are beneficial to the Rastafari, reparations. So there were many that were there. That's how they started off in the music industry till it becomes a monetary thing. The Rastafari had a message for the people at that time. In this time, you wonder if the Rastafari musician have a message. Then again, you don't have to wonder, because it's few of them out there right now that are really sending a message. You see? Yeah, the Rastafaris have a different principle. So we give thanks to those Rastafari from that time who still stand up as Rastafari. The Rastafari is in the mountain because he separate himself from what is going on. Deep meditation, higher consciousness of himself. Respect the Rastafari. Because when many of you were dreaming and sleeping, the Rastafari was the one who was out there speaking about reparation and repatriation. Many people jump on the bandwagon in this time, hop on the wagon of reparation and then pushing out the Rastafari. Want to take over the cart, want to take over the driving now and behave like it is you. Because many of these countries are broke and they borrow so much money from the World Bank and IMF and they want to repay their debts. When you get the reparation, what you're going to do with it? You're going to say you're going to develop the country. So what about the people? Eh? The children of those who suffered. Open your eyes, people, and be wise in this time. Give thanks to the Most High, to the King Emmanuel Charles Edwards. All compensation is to be paid to the African government for the development of Africa. Not to repay any debts, because Africa does not owe the world nothing. They owe Africa. Give thanks to Rastafari, you know. We're just giving thanks to Rastafari today. So many more things to speak of Rastafari, but don't condemn Rastafari, not because you see Rastafari is like that. Rastafari is the highest. Rastafari is the King of Kings. So when your foreparents and your mother and your father and your great-grandmother barred Rastafari from coming into society, coming from out of the mountains, from going into schools, with their finest of education to get proper work, and they're telling Rastafari that you have to trim to come to your work. And Rastafari refuse, because he stands resolute in his principles. You're fighting against Rastafari. And because this is someone that your society have made insane and is on the street, and on his head is nappy, you say that is Rastafari. Rastafari is inborn. It's not everyone that you see with locks is Rastafari, because locks has become fashion. Rastafari is Rastafari, and Rastafari stand for Rastafari, because Rastafari is just Rastafari. So give thanks to life again, health and strength again. Rastafari is Rastafari. Don't ever disrespect Rastafari. If you live in a glass house, as I never Peter Touch say, don't throw stones. If you can't take blows, don't throw blows. Give thanks to life. Rastafari people, we love you. Give thanks to life.
Rastafari as a mission, freedom, redemption, repatriation, to learn every man, woman, and children in their own vine and fig tree. Through Marcus Garvey voice.
Blessed love, Rastafari, the mission, yes? It's all about self-mastery and mastering your thoughts and mastering
Africa for the Africans, and I bring in Christ to the nation. Well, Emmanuel, last year is, Rastafari.